Once in a while, a video game comes out that is so hated, so despised, that everybody has nothing good to say about it. Today, we're going to take a look at this game, not because it's something that I believe is worthwhile or interesting, but because it's a game that is pretty much a mass murder simulator. How could anyone find anything good about that? Let's find the positives. In Hatred, you play as a gunman, and you're just kind of going around and killing everyone. That's pretty much it. Now I know what you're thinking, well, Shane, there's gotta be some kind of story, some kind of reason to everything going on. But no, in the gunman's own words,
my name is not important. What is important is what I'm going to do. I just fucking hate this world, and these human worms feasting on its carcass. My whole life is just cold, bitter hatred. And I always wanted to die violently. This is the time of vengeance, and no life is worth saving. And I will put in the grave as many as I can. It's time for me to kill. And it's time for me to die.
So it just looks like he wants to kill everybody for no reason. Which, okay, that's kind of a reason, I guess, right? Maybe? Whatever. It's still a game that makes you go out and kill people, and that's really its only purpose. Now, while other games like Grand Theft Auto and maybe Manhunt offer some kind of difference in terms of violence, this one's just straight up killing just because you want to kill people, not because you need to survive or because you're some kind of gangster trying to survive on the street. This is really just a game where you go around and kill people for no reason, and that's pretty dark. The game features multiple areas where you can go around gunning people down at will, whether it be suburban neighborhoods or cities. It's just kind of all about that. You can go into a lot of the buildings and just massacre people that are just kind of waiting in line at a bank, or you can go to a grocery store and kill everybody there. But I believe why people really don't like this game is because the controls are kind of bad. There's a lot of points in gameplay when the controls just work against you and don't allow you to really go full throttle and killing everyone that you can. And in a game like this, where its purpose is just to kill people, you think it'd be designed a little bit easier that way. It's hard to aim at people, it's very difficult to drive vehicles, there's no real tactical feedback that tells you you're actually killing someone, and in some instances when people are shooting at you, you're not aware of it until you die. This game is set up in a way where you're just mowing down everyone, like everyone you can, without any pause for remorse whatsoever. The one thing that these guys did do in the game is that they removed any children, but you can still go up to homeless people and shoot them in the brain, because that's something that isn't as cruel as shooting children. So that's a thing. Game's dark, I think we all get that, so let's take a look at a couple of the positives that this game does have. The game features a very bleak black and white color scheme, but this color scheme I feel works really well with the environment. See, this main character kinda has no lust for life, no energy, and no draw for anything. So the entire world has kind of lost all of its color, all of its vibrance, and I think they've done a really good job to make the player feel just dark about everything, because you see the world as this main character sees the world, which I think was a really smart choice. Once in a while, colors do come into play, like when a police car drives by and you can kind of see the red and blue lights shining on everything. And you can also see TV screens turned on in certain houses, and those images are on so that you can see them. Now, personally, what I think they were trying to do was they're trying to say that this gunman has some kind of appreciation for television or media, and that inspired him to do these things, and that's why those TV screens are actually colorful. Maybe I'm wrong, but at least they were trying to do something a little different than turn the entire screen black and white. So the color scheme and the environment are very good. So the first positive is that this game has a very good visual style. One of the things that Hatred does really well is its use of physics. Now there's a lot of video games out there that have used physics in the past really well, but Hatred does something special. See, you can take grenades or rockets and kind of blow up whole walls and walk through them, and you'll see things kind of realistically crumble. You can jump through windows and see the glass just shatter and fall around realistically, but that's not why you use a physics engine. You use a physics engine so that you can kind of make use of having those walls get destroyed. So one of the things you can do in this game is take a car and drive it right through a building, and although it's really hard, you can actually do it. And once in a while you'll see a gas main or a bunch of explosives and you'll be able to just blow it up and watch a whole section of a building just get demolished. Now that kind of visual, that kind of aesthetic looks really good, but it also plays a part of actually playing the games, so that you can knock down walls and walk through them to avoid enemy gunfire, or to basically get at a group of people that you couldn't access from walking through the front of a building. This puts a little spin on the gameplay by giving you a different way to enter into buildings, by basically making your own entrance. That's pretty cool. So, the second positive is that this game has some really great physics. I think a lot of people were mistaken in believing that this game was just a very easy mass murder simulator, running around the streets killing anyone you wanted. And while the game's really all about doing that, it's by no means an easy task. Once the police get involved, once the army gets involved, it's hard. I mean, it's really hard. This game had me repeating again and again and again. And unlike other games where you might be able to pick up a health pack or something, the only way to get health back for this character is to execute people. So if you go around murdering everybody and don't leave somebody just a little bit alive, you won't be able to execute them and get your health back. This adds to the overall difficulty of the game and makes for some interesting changes on the gameplay experience overall, which is something I really wasn't expecting while playing this game. Now, while this is a dark way to get health back, and honestly, maybe some people want kind of a lighter experience, not something that's so harsh and difficult, this makes the game a little bit more enjoyable to play because its difficulty kind of gives a little bit of drive for you to keep moving forward, even if the story doesn't want to push you forward in all of its darkness. So, the third positive is that this game has a pretty interesting difficulty spike. Now look, I've played a lot of violent video games. Grand Theft Auto, Manhunt, Mortal Kombat, even some pretty dark games like Thrill Kill. Games that just feel very mean-spirited and harsh and have incredibly horrific violent scenes in them. Now while Mortal Kombat will have something like this,
Jason wins.
and Dead Space has scenes like this, Hatred has scenes like this.
Mother! Mother, you piece of shit!
Now sure, while that scene is violent, I think the two other games were far more gory and more horrific. What was happening in Hatred was a violent scene, but simply not on the same, dark levels as what these two games were going for. Now in Mortal Kombat there's a plot to everything, and in Dead Space you're just trying to survive. In Hatred, it's really just about killing people, which I think was really the whole reason people hated the game. It really wasn't because it was horrifically violent, they hated it because the reason you're killing people was just simply because you hated everybody. Hence the name of the game, Hatred. So, the fourth positive for this game is that honestly guys, this game isn't that violent. So the fourth positive is that Hatred isn't as violent as people like to think it is. Sometimes on this series, I like to recommend the games that we play, and in other cases, I tell people to avoid them. But Hatred is kind of weird. It's a really dark game that has huge inspirations from games like Postal, but it really isn't as good in gameplay as Postal, or honestly as good as gameplay as any other game I've played this year. It's kind of got a mixed bag. It's not the best, it's not the worst. And the visual style really does make you feel dread and just sorrow. It's the kind of game that makes you feel bad when you play it. And I think that's exactly what the game developers were looking for, to make a game that really just scared people and shocked people. At the end of the day, I don't really feel like it did that. It just kind of left me with this bleak feeling. But then, maybe that's exactly what they wanted to do. Make you feel just bad of having played a game like this. So, if you want to feel bad, if you want to feel hatred, this is the game to play.